Good morning, children. Here we are into the ninth chapter of your syllabus, that is force and energy. In the previous chapter, we learned about the measurements. So, what is the standard unit of measurement of length, mass, capacity, and also temperature? But in this lesson, we will see the uses of those measurements in our daily life. Like, first let us learn about the force and then we will go into energy. First of all, what is this force? And then we will, in describable, we will learn about the energy. Okay, children? So the first one is force. In our daily life, we see and perform many actions. So if at all you come to into a class, what type of actions can we expect from you inside the class? Like taking the books, taking the pencil, stand, sit, talk to your friends, or share something, or roam around in the class, stand in a queue, walk in the verandas, yes, climb up the stairs, get down the stairs. So all these are called as some actions, right? But all these actions we can segregate into two types, that is push and pull. Like we could just do our actions as push and pull. In football, a big ball is being pushed when the player kicks it. In a tough of war, people are pulled at the ropes. So these are some examples given in your text. So if your practical example, if you can tell, as you are pulling the book out of your bag, isn't it? You are pushing the book inside your bag. Yes, you are pulling your body from the bench. Now when to sit, you are pushing your body back to the chair. So these are categorized as push and pull. So let us see the definition of a force. A push or a pull acting on an object is called force. So push or a pull acting on an object is called force. A man pushes a cart, a child pulls a toy wagon, and a girl opens the door are the examples of force applied on an object. So as I told you, in your daily activities like your books, either you push the object or pull the object. Okay, you push the book into your bag or pull the book outside the bag. So this is called as the force. But what is the object here? The object is your book. So what is a force? That is your action towards the book. Okay, your action towards the book is called force, and the object on which the force is applied is the book. I hope you would have understood what is now force and the force acting on a object. Is it clear, children? Next one is effects of force. What is the effect of a force applied on a object? If you could say, the first one is you can make the object move. Okay, by applying a force on an object, you can make the object move. Either may just move it to a further distance, or sometimes you can make the object move with the same speed in the same direction. For example, you can make a cycle run. When you apply force on the pedals of a cycle, the cycle can move more faster. Or you throw a ball, it moves for a certain distance and stops there. But if you are riding a cycle with a continuous speed, that the object is continuously moving. So this is one effect of a force. Second one is you can make the object slow down or stop. Catch a ball. The ball is moving. You caught a ball means the object is stopped. That is, the ball is stopped. That means you are applying a force to stop an object. Okay. That is an example for object. First one is the object can be moved. Second one is the object can be stopped. Third one, the object can change its direction. When the force is applied on an object, the object can change its direction. You imagine that you are going in the right side, okay, right side of the any direction. You are going in the right side. Immediately your mother comes and says you are not supposed to come this side, you can go the other side. You need not come this side, you can go the other side. Then what will you do? You can just move the other side. When you move the other side, what happens? So you are changing the direction of your angle. That means the force is applied to change the direction. Is it clear? The last one is force can change the shape of an object. Okay, you start sitting on a ball. Okay, try to sit on a ball or try to crush a plastic bottle. What will happen to the shape of the bottle? Will it remain the same? Not at all, isn't it? The shape of the object changes. Or when you sit on the ball, the entire air in the ball is removed and the ball becomes shapeless. Okay, that is, a force is applied on an object to change its shape. So if you see all the four effects of the force, the first one is forces can be applied to move an object. That is, a stagnant object can be moved with the help of force. Second one, a moving object can be stopped. A moving object can be stopped by force. Third one, a force can change the direction of the moving object. That is, when a force is applied on a moving object but not stopping or not moving it forward, just change the direction of the object. And the last one is the force can change the shape of an object. So these are the effects of force. Okay, effects of force applied on a object. Is it clear? Next one is types of force. So there are different types of force acting on our nature. First one is the gravitational force, or called the gravity. The second one is called as the magnetic force or magnetism. The third one is electrostatic force or the electrostats. The fourth one is mechanical force, and the last one is buoyant force. Okay, so there are 5 types of force. Let us see the first one, which is called the gravitational force or gravity. So as we know from our 3rd standard, we know what is gravity. So the force of the earth is called the gravity. So let us see here. Gravitational force or gravity is the force that attracts objects to the center of the earth. If you throw a ball up, it comes down after some time because the gravity, it is the earth's gravity that keeps us and all the other objects on the ground. That means to tell the gravity. So earth is having enormous force inside the earth. The earth is having enormous force, that is, plenty of force is there inside the earth. With the help of that force, so any object, when it is thrown up by force, whatever you have, with the force you throw the object upward, but the force of the earth will pull the object downward. Okay, as we have seen in many movies, when they are in the spacecraft, even the cartoons also we have seen, isn't it? Sometimes when they are in the spacecraft or when they are standing on the moon, that cartoon characters, when they are standing on the moon, they show that they are somewhere like flying, right? Because they don't have gravitational force on moon or nor on the spaceships. Because of that only they are flying. Okay, they are not stagnant. But on the earth, okay, are we flying? No, not at all, isn't it? We are sitting or we are standing. We are able to put our legs on the earth completely. We can control our body in a stagnant position. That is because of the gravitational force. Okay, the force that has been coming from the center of the earth, that is pulling the objects towards it. That means we are all stagnant on the earth. The second one is the magnetic force or the magnetism. Magnetic force or magnetism is a force with which a magnet attracts metals such as iron, nickel and other magnets. Magnets may also repel each other with the help of the magnetic force. So here we have seen magnet. I need not explain much about it because everybody have seen magnet and we have also played with it, right? When we take a magnet, put on rubber on the doors, it will not attract. At the same time, you take it on an iron cupboard or iron pieces, right? Automatically it will attract. And we have also tried the working of trying to pulling one magnet from the other. We try to pull this magnet from this direction and the other magnet on the other direction. We can see as we come closer, the magnet starts pulling each other. Okay, the magnet 1 will start pulling the magnet 2 as they come near and near. That shows that each other magnet attracts. That is called the attraction force is there, no? That force is called the magnetic force. Usually magnet can attract metals like iron, nickel and sometimes even cobalt also, right? All these metals can be attracted by the magnet. And at the same time in the textbook they have telling that magnets can repel. How these magnets can repel? When the opposite sides of the magnet is being brought near, they attract. But the same sides of the magnet is brought near, it repels. That I'll teach you when I have you in my Zoom class. I'll explain you regarding this because I cannot show you practically. Is it clear? Next one is electrostatic force. So what is electrostatic force? So before getting into the deep into it, I have an example for every children. But I'm very much sure most of us would have done this experiment in the oily hair. Okay, when you rub your comb on a dry hair, it is not oily. Okay, with that hair you just rub the scale and try to put it on a tiny papers and you have started attracting the scale attracts the tiny papers. I'm very much sure that most of us have done this experiment, isn't it? Rubbing the scale over the head and with that force trying to pick up the bits of paper. Though we don't know how it has been done, but still most of us have done it. This is nothing but called as the electrostatic force. This is only is called as the electrostatic force. This is because the charged body, okay, the force of a charged body reacting on a uncharged body or another charged body is called the electrostatic force. For example, we have umbers, that is like a material or like a stone it is there, which is a transparent stone form. Okay, even this umber was being charged. Okay, when it is rubbed with a soft cloth. Okay, some soft cloths and all, when they used to rub, the material used to get heated up or got charged like. So this was an example of electrostatic force. That means when your object is rubbed with another object, the object gets charged, and by the charge how will we come to know that the object is charged? Okay, that is the example how you use for a scale. When you rub the scale over your dry hairs, the scale is getting charged. To express this charge, when you show the charged scale towards a tiny bit papers, that is the object that is weightless than the scale. Okay, the objects that are weightless than the scale, only those objects can be attracted. Here the bits of papers are weightless than the scale. So here what happens, when you just keep it on the weightless papers, the papers get attracted to the scale. That means it shows that the scale is being charged by the dry hairs. Okay, when the two objects are rubbed in such a way, the object gets charged. This is called as the electrostatic force. Is that clear? Next one is the mechanical force. A mechanical force come into play when push or pull comes in physical contact with an object. When you open the door, your hands is pulling the door up to open it. So mechanical force can bend, break or compress things. So mechanical force means what exactly? So when you are pushing the object or pulling the object, expressing the force manually. Okay, expressing the force manually is called as the mechanical force. That is, you are applying the force on a object. Okay, that is called as a mechanical force. Throw a book on the ground, that means you are putting a force to throw the book. Okay, pick up a stick, so you are using your hands to pick up the stick. So this is called as the mechanical force. That means you are applying your force on an object is called as the mechanical force. Here it says that mechanical force can bend, break or compress the objects also. Like in your textbook, how they have given, the person is crushing a bottle. When a person is crushing a bottle, so the force is applied to compress the object. Okay, when a glass is being thrown down, the object is breaking. That means that the force is applied to break a object. Okay, so this is called as the mechanical force. The next one is buoyant force. So this buoyant force is nothing but the force of the water. The force of the water is called as the buoyant force. So different objects when dropped in water will either sink or float on it. Have you seen that? Yes, of course, right? If you throw a small piece of paper, the paper will float on the water. At the same time, you put a stone inside the water, the stone goes and sinks to the bottom of the water, right? That shows that depends on the weight of the object, either the object may float or sink. So this is called as the buoyant force. That means even the water is having some kind of force in it, like how the earth was having gravitational force in it, even the water is also having some force in it, which is called as the buoyant force. When a way of force of the object is less than the buoyant force, okay, when the force of the object is less than the water's force, then the object will float. Okay, but the force of the object is more than the force of the water, then the object sinks. Okay, so this is called as the buoyant force. The buoyant force is equal to the weight of the water displaced by the object. So this is called as the Archimedes principle. I would like to explain you this. Like, you take a glass full of water, okay, till the tip of the glass the water should be filled, okay, and try to take a small stone and try to put into the water. That is, the complete stone has to be done. You can see the entire water that is in the tip of the glass will be spilled out. Okay, will be completely spilling out. That spilling of the water, if you could keep the entire glass on a plate, okay, before putting the stone into the water, if you could keep the entire glass on a big plate, we can see the weight of the stone will be equal to the weight of the water that is being spilled out. Okay, the weight of the stone will be equal to the weight of the water that has been spilled out. Okay, this comparison was done by one of the scientists called as the Archimedes. So because of that, this principle was been called as the Archimedes principle. Is that clear, children? So this is called the buoyant force. So by this we finish all the 5 forces. That is, the first one is gravitational force, second one magnetic force or magnetism, third one is electrostatic force, next one is the mechanical force, and the last one was called the buoyant force. Next one is frictional force or friction. Okay, what is this exactly? Here when you say friction, the force acting, both the force, if you have two forces, when the forces are acting in the different direction. So if you have one force coming in the right side and the other force coming in the left side, what will happen to the force? They hit each other or they start rubbing each other, isn't it? This is called as the friction or frictional force. So this we can see in our cycles. Okay, when you are stamping your pedals, okay, when you're stamping your pedals, the pedal is connected to the wheel. Have you seen? The pedal is linked to the wheel. Because of this pedal, the wheel is rotating. Sometimes when the pedal is not oiled, in the wheel you don't oil properly. Mostly boys would be knowing this better. Okay, when they don't put proper oil to their wheels and make the friction smooth, okay, they will have an unwanted noise there in their cycles. Have you ever come across? There will be an unwanted noise in the cycles. This is because the friction is not proper. So when you put some oil, immediately the sound reduces. That means the friction between both the object is smooth. So this is called as the frictional force or friction. Friction or frictional force is a force that tries to stop the movement of an object across the surface. So friction always acts in the direction opposite to the direction of the movement of an object. It can slow down the movement of an object or stop it from moving altogether. In general, movement across smooth surface such as ice and glass produces less friction. So this is called as friction. Okay, as I told you, the example of a cycle. At the same time, you are trying to run faster. Okay, you try to run fast, try to catch. Okay, maybe you are playing a hide and seek game. Okay, you are trying to catch your friend who has been running in front of you. In between, you get your teacher. Your teacher is trying to stop you. That is, for your moving force, your teacher's force is a friction that is stopping there. Okay, that is called as one other friction. So when the object is being stopped by another force, so equal force, that is also called as a friction. And this, the working of a pedal and the wheel is also called as friction. When two objects rub each other, okay, when two objects rub each other, we can see that it is going little slow. Okay, on a rough surface, when you try to skate on a rough surface, you may not fall, but you will have an enjoyment of skating. But at the same time, you try to skate on a smooth surface, you will not get a balance on yourself. You don't even get a proper balance on yourself. That is again called as lack of friction. Okay, the friction is less in the smooth surface. At the same time, the friction is more in the rough surface. Is that clear? Let's talk about the advantages of friction and disadvantages of friction. The friction between our feet and the ground makes it possible for us to walk. We find it hard to walk on ice or on smooth polished floor. As movement crosses this surface produces less friction. That is why we use often slip on an icy ground and wet floor, isn't it? So here, as we says, the friction, when the friction is correct, then we have the grip on a object. When the friction is less, we don't have any proper grip on any object. As I told you, like skating on a rough surface and smooth surface. Here it is being given as walking on a hard surface, or sometimes walking on a smooth or polished surface. So when the friction is more, we get a grip. When the friction is less, we don't get a proper grip. Okay, friction between the tire of the wheel and the road makes you move the roll forward. Thus friction makes movement of the vehicle possible. So most of the time we have seen our tires having like thorn type structure on their body, right? We have rough structures on the body of a tire. It's not very smooth, like round, just because this will create a friction. Because of this friction only, the people who are riding the vehicle can control the vehicle. Otherwise the vehicle will not be listened to them at all. It will just move on the road, and the road is actually nice, and the vehicle will not have any friction. Because of lack of friction, the vehicles may skid and fall somewhere. Because the tires are uneven, if you could exactly put the word, it is uneven, not same or not equal in their structure, isn't it? They are just somewhere it is whole and somewhere it is height, like something like what exactly you could put it exact. It is like somewhere it is hollow and somewhere it is thick, like that it has been structurized. Because of that only you are able to create the friction and use it. Is it clear? The next one is friction between the chalk and the blackboard makes it possible for the teacher to write on the blackboard, as it helps us to write on a paper and erase people mark on paper to using an eraser. So here also the friction between the chalk and the blackboard will help us to write on the board. If there is no friction, I won't have any control on my writing on the board. Whatever I wish to write, I may not be able to write. If I am trying to write A, it may go as N, isn't it? Because we have friction between the chalk and the blackboard, I am able to write as I wish. At the same time, writing on a paper also with a pen or a pencil, the friction between the paper and the pencil will give you are able to write, and even the eraser and the paper also. So because the friction between the paper and the eraser is thick, we are able to erase, or else if the friction is not there, the paper may tear. Okay, these are the advantages of friction. The first one is like moving on a hard surface and a smooth surface. Okay, second one is the structure of the tires creates friction. Now the third one is friction between the chalk and the blackboard. Next one is disadvantages of friction. First one, friction makes it hard to slide heavy objects across the floor. That means because of this friction, we are unable to bring the heavy objects from a higher surface to the lower surface. Because of we cannot carry immediately a heavy object and bring it down. If it is slippery means it would have come very fast. Because the objects are not slippery, we are unable to bring a heavy object from the higher surface to the lower surface. This is the one disadvantages of friction. Second one, friction generates heat. You can feel it by rubbing your palms together for some times. Heat is produced due to friction, causes damage of machine parts such as car brakes. See, friction creates heat. See, as I told you, in the cold season, we have a habit of rubbing our palms in the opposite directions and keeping on our cheeks. That means we can feel the hotness by rubbing both the hands. Same like that, when the machines inside the car, when they rub for a longer time, the friction is created, and the, as we say, the, what is that, indicator in the car got burned up. Have you seen some of the movies, or we have seen some of you would have experienced that also. Okay, the car indicator gets heated up. That shows that the friction creates heat. Okay, the third one is friction causes damage to tire of vehicle. The soles of your shoes, machine parts makes this object wear away by time. This is the reason why machine parts need to be oiled regularly. Oil is slippery and reduces the friction between different parts of machine. As I previously told you, the working of the cycle. Okay, the friction between the wheel and the pedal, when the friction is more, it gets damaged. When you oil it, the friction reduces. At the same like that, even your soles of your shoes and your chappals. Okay, as the day, the way you walk more, your shoes get spoiled easily, isn't it? If you don't walk at all, your shoes will be as new as it, isn't it? This is one of the disadvantages of friction. And also, even the machines, as you use them more, especially mothers would be knowing, like the mixies or grinders or something like that, when the mechanism is more, even the fans, okay, when the mechanism is more, very fast they get heated up, and because of the heat and because of the friction, they get damaged soon or repaired soon. Okay, and if you don't use them, we don't get repaired. When the friction is less, the machines are safe. When the friction is more, they get damaged easily. So these are the disadvantages of friction. By this, we end up the first session of our chapter 9. In the next session, we will be learning about the energy. Is it clear? Until then, have a good day, children.